Hey there, welcome to Pop Culture Cupid.
I'm Alison, love coach, here to help you single people find your way back to love.
And I'm Michal, I'm a single life coach. I help singles embrace themselves and their singleness, as well as develop a healthy self relationship.
In this podcast, we will look at how pop culture impacts romance, dating, and your love life.
And each week we'll shoot another arrow through another pop culture delusion.
I thought we weren't going to do the whole cheesy thing.
And then burst into smithereens.
Oh my god, dude, that's so cringe.
Sorry, it's in the intro now.
If you make it through the chaos and you enjoy what you hear, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and go to all the social media.
At Pop Culture Cupid on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy!
Recording in progress. Hello.
Hi. So you did the worst, like, I don't know if that's the worst thing, but you said, I've got something to say, and then you go, okay, I guess I can say this while we're recording. I was like, oh my god, press record.
Press record. Oh my god, I'm gonna do such a Netflix now because this is going to be so anticlimactic. Like with their promos, it makes it seem like so dramatic, and then it ends up being nothing. So I happened to come across one of the Love is Blind's posts yesterday, and I don't know why I went into the comment section. It's a place. Oh my god, if you ever want to be depressed, go to the comment section of posts.
Yeah.
So they have some, but there was some. So there's this post about like the Chelsea and Jimmy breakup.
Right.
And I went into the comments. There's some of the best comments I've read, so I thought maybe we can go over a few of them.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Go for it.
Yeah, but you want to start with that?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I think it's funny because the first one is, honestly, the best thing about this season is Clay's mum. Snap. That's like, well, maybe AD's mum as well, but I think you mentioned it in one of the recordings that we did about this season. But just like, I think the MVPs of this season are just the parents. I think they should do a season just about their parents.
Yeah, I said it because Jeremy's mum, because I was thinking about this the other day of just like, we live in a world where we tend to kind of make everything be okay, and if you mess up, I have a feeling that if you go to see a therapist or something, the therapist is going to try and make it all okay, instead of just like, no, you messed up. I mean, it's okay, we'll get over it, but you messed up and you take accountability for it. And I was just thinking about it of, if sometimes people need to be told, no, you be better, And this season, Jeremy's mum, AD's mum, and Clay's mum, they were like, oh my God. They were just like,
yeah,
nope.
They were letting them have it. Yeah, we're not having this. We're gonna let you have it. So yeah, I think I just love how she put him in his place. And then the comment goes on to say she is healing generations of trauma and breaking cycles, which is very true. She gets the medal. This was one of the most powerful and game-changing scenes across season 6. Oh, but that's already more of Clay mums in season and scenes like this, please. So yeah. Well, yes, more of Clay's mum. I think she was. I think also, you know what? I wrote down a quote she said. I wrote down a few quotes. There were some very good quotable moments in that episode, in that one single episode they gave us.
Yeah. And that single scene of Clay's mum, like, we only saw her during that.
Yeah, they're like soaking the last drop of juice out of us. It's like, Anyway, she said, if you don't get help, you'll bring that shit with you into the next relationship or something like that. So she was like, which is it's yes. Like we I think if you don't work on yourself, if you don't improve, you're just going to keep bringing it. It's not the relationship that's the problem. It's you that's the problem. And we just like blaming everything. I mean, not that we're probably, you're never a problem that needs fixing or broken, but we're humans. We need to change and evolve and grow
Yeah.
and learn and whatever. So it's part of the process. And yeah, so I think that was like a beautiful, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I agree. And I mean, even Clay's dad, who, you know, walking red flag of making it all about him.
Yeah.
But you can tell that even he has grown from his relationship with his father, whereas, you know, his father was not there for the mother or his children. And so Clay's dad has, you know, kind of healed that into going for, he was there for his children. And he you know, wasn't perfect, but he has, you know, you can just see it, like, you just, you know, generational trauma and working through stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not, you know, I'm not a fan of his by all means, but you can see it's the proof that if you don't heal things that you lived through, and even Clay, it sounds like Clay kind of was witness to the adultery and things like that. And
that's terrible.
It is terrible.
It's like a thought that I had while I was watching it. I even wrote it down to make sure that I didn't forget, is that, and this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately as well. So it's kind of funny. Like, I also had this conversation with Zev a few times, where you can look at your parents and you can look at the way they live their life. You can look at the trajectory of their life. You can look at the mistakes they made, and you can either decide or subconsciously just repeat the same mistakes that they made, or live the same type of life that they did, or you can choose to be and do different instead. You know, I mean, you can take your life and you can decide that I don't want to end up like they did. I don't want to make the same mistakes that they did. So you can either learn from it and do better, or you can just say, this is my life, this is what I learned, and this is the example I got, and be the same thing and repeat their mistakes.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking about this with a friend, one of my very best friends and I. She lives in Thailand right now, and our relationship is our relationship is fully sending each other 20-minute voice notes and then finishing the voice note by saying, we need to schedule a call. And this week we had a back and forth of like 20 minutes, and at the end, at one point I say, I record a 3-minute message saying, I'm not responding to your 20-minute message. I've listened to it. We need to schedule time for us to talk about it. Anyway, I digress. And we were saying, like, we were talking about different people that we knew who have, I think the word trauma is overused these days, but these people have trauma. You know, they've had these violent, chaotic childhoods, like drugs, alcohol, like really like bad. So that, you know, I think the word trauma is correctly used in this sense. I'm not saying that, you know, everybody who uses the word trauma is bad. You know, I just hate the fact that I have to qualify everything that I say so that we don't get cancelled.
Yeah, that's the world we live in today.
But
people like to cancel.
Oh yeah. But what we were saying is you either, you know, you can have shit that has happened to you, whether it's, you know, highly traumatic, slightly traumatic, or whatever, and whether it's kind of generational and repeating itself through all the generations, or just this one-time thing. And you can either like work on it and heal from it, or you can just accept the fact that that's your life, but your life is going to be subpar, and you know, your life is, and you're gonna, you know, and it's just, you're not going to grow from it. And if you choose to accept that, then I feel that if you choose to accept the fact that you don't want to do the work, then you choose to accept that you're not allowed to complain about your life. Like, if you accept that without doing the work, then you forfeit the right to complain.
Yeah, it's true. In general, I don't think complaining is, you know, like, sometimes it's okay. Like, sometimes it's you know, you just need to let it out. But as long as you don't become that chronic complainer, who just complains about everything, and then, you know, you repel people because people just don't like being around someone who's constantly complaining. So you're pushing people away, and you're just digging yourself further into that situation or into the bad things, and you're getting stuck, and it's just burying yourself even deeper in that dark hole, and instead of just doing something about it. And when you're complaining, you're sort of also justifying to yourself like why, you know, you're the poorest person in the world, why you deserve all the sympathy, why you're a victim. And then you sort of go into that victimhood mentality and you get stuck where you are, instead of like, yes, it sucks, some people get cards dealt to them that are completely sucky, but what are you going to do? Is complaining about it is it going to change it? No, it's likely going to make it worse. So, you know, you have to play the cards that you've been dealt and try to make the most of it. And if you don't want to end up like that for the rest of your life, then you have to do something about it, which is the harder choice in the short term, but in the long run, you'll end up in a better place.
Yeah.
So
100%. And it's, you know, and I agree, like sometimes it's okay to complain, and I think it's also healthy, to be honest, of just letting it out. And I think if you want to complain like forever because that's your mechanism to move on, but you are actually moving forward and developing, then I think that's fine. But complaining and staying like, you know, and staying put and just is not the right thing.
No, you don't want, like, it's the worst thing that you can do for yourself in your life. And I think Clay has done such a fantastic job at, I gotta give it to him. I know that he screws up a lot. He puts his foot in his mouth and he says all the wrong things. But this episode, Chef's Kiss, you know, I feel very bad for AD. I like, my heart goes out to her. She was my season's favorite. And but I think he handled himself so well. The problem is that this is the format that they signed up for, so he has no other choice but to get to the altar and break up with her over there. And I think he also, with himself, you know, sometimes there's things you don't know until the very moment that you have to do them.
Yeah, which
like,
is what he was
I can't
saying.
do this. Yeah, and I think he was being mature and he was doing the right thing. And he said something so sweet to her, that like, heartbreaking and sweet, that he was like, it just sums up like breakups in general. It says, like, he said, I'm not saying no to you. Which is the most beautiful thing in the world. A standing ovation, so simple to the point, and it's probably right for most breakups or situations where someone is breaking up with you or can't go through with marriage or whatever. It's not you. It really isn't. It's usually work that they have to do with themselves, or they're not ready for the marriage, or maybe it's just you two together that doesn't work. And I really hope she'll be able to get over this and see that he's just doing what's right for both of them, you know, because to start with the marriage, what's the point if he's not ready for it? And you know, they might have a better relationship if they start without a marriage than with the marriage that could just ruin the rest of it.
And it's, you know, I understand of course I understand the premise of like, if you both want to get married, then, you know, you'll make it work. But that's just so fundamentally wrong, because we, you know, that they're Love is Blind and Married at First Sight and things like that. They want to recreate what it was like 50, 60, 100 years ago, but we just don't live in that world anymore. And I mean, duh, we don't live in that world anymore. But but that, you know, I was talking with a friend, we were talking about her relationship, and she was just like, this friend did a lot of work on herself, and so she feels like she needs to give her man a chance of getting, you know, of healing his kind of traumas, again the word. But I told her, like, you guys are not married, and even though you think you want to stay for the rest of your lives together, you guys haven't promised each other anything. And, you know, this is why you have the relationship, to get to know each other and take time. And for some people it's 6 months and then they feel like they know, and so they get married. I've known people who have done that, and 10 years later they're still together and it's perfect. and for some people it's longer. And you know, it's taking a car out for a test drive, it's visiting a flat several times. You know, you haven't committed to each other really. You know, that's what marriage and weddings are.
Yeah.
It's making this promise, and it's fine if, you know, right now you are questioning everything, because this is the time to do it. And Clay, I mean, we went through a journey with Clay where, you know, at the beginning it was just like, oh, what did he do? And then the last 2 episodes we talked about him, was like, oh, he's on a path. Like he's not there yet, but he is trying to get there, and he's on a path. And he showed it to us on yesterday's episode of the self-awareness. It was just fantastic. Self-awareness. I don't want to make a jingle. I need to. But that's the whole thing of he feels he's not ready to make this long-term promise. And so he said,
yeah,
and I don't want to give up. I just want to, you know, take a bit of more time. And that's just beautiful.
Yeah,
he did it. Sorry, he did it in a perfect way. I don't think he could have done it any better. He took the time, he put the effort in up till the last minute. He gave himself everything. He wanted to be sure of his decision one way or another. He said it beautifully. He said it, you know, sincerely. You could feel that it was, unlike Jimmy, we'll talk about Jimmy after. You could feel that Clay was 100% sincere. I could see before the wedding that he was uncomfortable. I was like, he is so uncomfortable. Is it the cameras? Is it the stress? Like, he is so uncomfortable. That's what was going on. He did it perfectly. And sadly, it's the proof that even if you communicate perfectly, and again, I think this was perfect, sometimes it won't be received in the way that you would like for it to be received. And AD received it violently. And she was right to, because she wasn't expecting it. And even if she were expecting it, it's kind of like, you know, when somebody is on life support and ends up dying, you're expecting it, but it's still hard. So even if you are expecting it, it's still hard. And she still received it in a certain way. I think she handled herself well as well, of just, you know, trying to handle her emotions without being, you know,
as best she can in that emotional state. Like, it's very emotionally loaded when you know, it's hard to hear someone, you know, saying beforehand how he said, I'm not saying no to you, but it's very hard to hear someone saying no and not take it personally. You know, it's you know, we preach a lot like how we shouldn't take these things personally and not take things to heart. In general, I think getting insulted or taking things too much to heart is just a waste of your emotions in general in life. But it's very hard, it's very difficult, and especially in such an overly loaded emotional journey and process that they're going through on this experiment. And I think she especially had a rough time with him throughout the whole relationship. With, they had a lot of ups and downs, and she had to, you know, again, I have a word in Hebrew and I can't think of it in English, but like, she had to accept him and be understanding and
compromise,
and just
compromise.
Yeah, sort of. She had to do more of the compromising because he was more the one that had to go through a journey.
Yeah. And I will add to Clay and AD that is the proof that, one, love is not blind, but you know, we know this. But two, appearance is not everything, because he's good looking and she fell in love with him without his looks, and she was, you know, ready to go on, move forward with him. And at the beginning, we had the sense, I think everybody had the sense, even he did, that, you know, looks were very important. And AD is stunning. I think she fits, you know, his standards to a T. He said it himself. And he's still not getting married with her, even though she's perfect physically, and even though he says, like, you're an amazing person, blah, blah, blah. It's just, I'm not ready. It's the proof that, you know, appearances are not everything. They matter. People who say that they don't matter are liars. They do matter, you know, to some extent, but they are not everything. And so to people who have, you know, high standards for physical appearance, that's the proof that you are not doing the right work. That's not the most important, you know, and vice versa. So no, I mean, like,
Yeah.
AD.
Oh, I really hope it works out.
Yeah, me too.
By the way, I looked up the word. I had to look up this word because it's like such a beautiful. I love this word. It's a beautiful word. But it basically the translation. It has a few translations, but like it does say to compromise, but the word also means like to contain or to hold. So like sort of when we use it in Hebrew to talk about someone, you know, compromising for someone else, it's more than compromising. It really is like containing their emotions and understanding them to the fullest and accepting it and being like, I'm trying to think of a good better equivalent in English, but I can't. It's like but it really is that anyway. Standing ovation, Claire and AD, and hopefully they make it out.
Oh yeah, fantastic work. We'll see next week.
And fantastic work, yeah, to Clay's mum and AD's mum. She was also pretty great.
Yeah. No, good.
Yeah,
and fantastic work to us because we predicted it that they were not going to get married.
Yes, we did. Well, you predicted it. I was holding out hope, but
I you know, so this isn't a prediction, this is hope, but I hope that next week we'll see them dating and trying to make it work.
Same. I think the show anyway like shouldn't end with marriage. I don't understand why they end it with marriage. It doesn't have like if the point is love, then what does it? I think it's just a gimmick. I think they add the marriage just for the spice and everything nice and whatever, you know.
I was listening to Stephen Bartlett. I saw that he did a podcast with the Hinge CEO, and so I thought I'd listen to it, and they were saying, which I agree with, that we get fed happily ever after in Disney and romantic comedies and everything
everywhere.
It stops after marriage, and you know, and that's just wrong. Marriage is kind of like the easiest. It's so hard after that because when you're not married, which is what I was telling my friend, you have that escape route that you can just kind of, you know, then I can walk away from this to some extent. It's giving up at things like that, you know, that's also needs to be addressed, but not today. But when you're not married, you can, you know, move away from it. However, when you are married, people who, you know, think marriage is important and it's sacred, then you are kind of forced to stay and make it work. And that's the difference. And so people, you know, happily ever after marriage, it's no, because then once you're married, supposedly there's no escape route and you have to make it work, and you know, and overcome the frivolous. But
no, it's we expect things to work out perfectly like they do in rom-coms, and it just never does. And so I think I said this before, that you're looking for a feeling that doesn't exist. So when you do find the right person for you, or one of many right people, because I don't believe we have the one, but like when you meet the person who's right for you, you don't know how to recognize it, so you give up very easily because you're like, okay, fine, I don't feel the butterflies, I don't feel like that all-consuming love, I don't feel the fireworks, I don't feel the infatuation, so I'm just gonna let go and move on. And then you miss out. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why, look, again, I hate the whole conversation. It was like, why someone's single because they're single, you know. But yes, at some point, I think we're also saying one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people are single is because they're looking for that feeling. And then anyway, we're digressing here.
We are.
But we could move on to the main event.
Oh, no, that was the main event. I'm not taking that away from them. I think, you know, I think they that was perfect. It was perfect on communication. It was perfect on handling your emotions gracefully, but still honoring them. Like, she didn't shove them down. She felt her emotions. You know, I think it was bigger off camera and fair for her. I think the mothers were supportive. It wasn't anything of that toxic shit of just like, oh, he's so bad for you, you deserve better. It was a lot of, okay, that's fine. You know, life's tough. It was that main event. We should have kept it to the end. It was fantastic.
But
But what you're referring to, I don't think
Yes.
is Johnny and Amy. I think you're talking about
No.
Chelsea and Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a good comment here that I think brings us into this very well.
Go.
Someone wrote that Chelsea is far from perfect, but he needs to go date his bestie because he cared more about her and protecting her than Chelsea.
Is that what
which is an interesting take. I don't know. We'll get to Chelsea because I think she's like, whew, lots to say about her. But I think he was overwhelmed by Chelsea, and I think he was like, whoa, what's going on here? And he was like, yeah, I can't handle this. And he was trying to do his best, even his best wasn't great. But I think he was, although I can understand, she didn't choose to come on this, he did. And so why should the world know that they slept together? That's her life, and she's, but on the other hand, he was like so freaked out about it that I'm like, it does seem like he cares more about his best friend than Chelsea.
I think he cares more about himself.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
But not in a bad way of being selfish. And I would say that it's important to know how to be selfish when you're in relationships. Yeah. And we can talk about that later. But I might need to rewatch it, but I just felt that my feeling is that he slept with this other girl whilst she was in a relationship or something, and it didn't reflect well on her or on him, and it actually reflected poorly on him. And so he didn't want to make a whole thing of it, and he told Chelsea in confidence off camera, because I think it happened off camera because we didn't see it. And then he's just not owning it. Like, he didn't own the fact that he was sleeping with her. I disagree with that comment, I have to say. I mean, from what I understand and what we've seen, I think he's just not, he doesn't own the fact that he slept with this girl. It reflects poorly on him. Yeah. But he's not gonna give up hanging out with her. And so I don't think that it was a lot about protecting his best friend's feelings. I think it's just protecting his reputation. And I can understand the whole thing, not hanging out with people that you've previously slept with and things like that. But I think the past is the past. Like, I have somebody in my life that I see sometimes that I've slept with once, and that this was a long time ago, and JT is aware of it. And I don't think that this is that big. I think that it's what we've been saying since the beginning, that I think I agree with you when you say that she overwhelmed him. She was too much for him. And he, unlike Clay, who was very aware of how he was feeling and things like that, I think, when she said she felt that he was kind of pulling away and not in it as much and things like that, I think she was right. But then she did become clingy and overbearing and overwhelming and things like that. I think they were both, they brought out the worst in each other.
Yeah, they did. I think, again, they sort of just were so desperate to make it work, and it wasn't right. And I think it just, the whole situation was just screwed up. I just don't like that she kept bringing it up. It was like, I couldn't, because it's just, why? What's the point of bringing it up, especially if he asked you not to, and it's concerning someone who isn't part of this. And it just goes to show how insecure and toxic she is. Because I think one of the worst things you can do in an argument when you're trying to make your case is shove something in someone's face. Oh yeah, but you did this, or you said that. And I think that's the worst thing that you can do, even if it's right, no matter how tempting it is. If your end goal is to fight through this together and end up stronger, to shove something in someone's face like that is not going to get you there. It's just going to push that person away, especially if it's something that has nothing to do with your current situation. Yeah. Like, someone wrote here that Chelsea keeps saying that he's walking away from her after one issue, but there are so many issues in this relationship, and she's just downplaying it. Well, I don't know, I just feel like she's just really manipulating him and playing victim. And I just don't like that.
No, I completely agree with that. And she was, and she said something to him about, you've invalidated my feelings, such and such, and he goes, like when? And she's incapable of answering. I think that Jimmy, I've said it before about Jimmy, but I'm going to say it again. He found himself in a situation where he was overwhelmed, and he knew that he was about to hurt her, and he didn't know how to do it, and so he handled it poorly. Because for him, it all started with the physical appearance, and he was so thrown by it that he didn't get over it. And I think he's aware of that, and he's aware that it doesn't look good on him, and he didn't know how to handle it. And I think that Chelsea realized kind of all of this, and in her mind thought, this isn't good, this isn't happening, and I'm in my right, and he's the bad guy if I'm things like that, and I'm such a good person. And she kind of switched into that victim mentality of slash trying of girl power, like the big woman girl power and things like that, and it just became a weird version of herself that hopefully if she looks back at this, she'll be like, who was this person and what happened? I'm not sure. And it just, so yeah, the more she clung, the further away it pushed him. And I'm not saying that if she wasn't clingy, he would have stayed, because that tends to be the advice of like, oh, play hard to get. And I don't think that's right. It's just give that person space and allow yourself to have space as well. And so you'll see if that person wants to get closer, and if that person doesn't want to get closer because you've got your good space, that'll be okay. That's the whole thing about hard to get. It's not, go on one direction, he'll follow you. It's make it okay for him to come or not, and you can handle the reaction either way.
Yeah, it's a matter of also not, because people, when you chase someone, you're chasing them away. When you're being too desperate and clingy, it just pushes them away.
Yeah.
Not only do I think, especially with men, they have a natural instinct to want to chase, to want to prove themselves, and to want to come after us, but also I think you have to give them their space to want to come to you, and when you're constantly coming to them, you're not only pushing that feeling further away because they don't ever get to feel it, they're also getting suffocated because you're constantly coming to them. And so it's sort of, again, that playing hard to get is more of not being easy, and not being always there, because that's also a way of putting yourself down and saying that I'm always here for you then, but I just think, look, it's hard to judge, because poor thing, they're doing this on TV, but they chose that. They made the decision to go do it on television, and so they're up for grabs. And I think she just handled herself really bad. And someone else wrote here something very true, that she did not give him a safe space and weaponized what he told her and exposed him on TV.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is just something, because there was no point to that. How do you know that she weaponized it and she tried to hurt him with it? It's because it really wasn't relevant to the situation. It has nothing to do with the situation.
Exactly, which is why I don't think that it's him caring more about somebody else's feelings, whether it's more as, what are you doing? Like, what has this got to do with anything? It's giving me flashbacks to personal stories, but I'm not going to go into that because it's not that interesting. But yeah, so again, we predicted that they weren't going to get married.
I was surprised. Obvious.
I was surprised that he kind of got away with the fact of not going to the altar. But I guess I'd like to see the contract that they sign, about how they have to deal with it. Because if it doesn't get them into too much trouble, I think I would have preferred that for Clay. of him not going down to the altar, because it is that thing of just doing it. Yes, they are the cameras, but it's just the two of them, so that it does feel like it's in private, whereas here it's really in front of friends and family. So that's just a difference. But he was right. I mean, again, Jimmy was right to just end it. And the things about the I love yous is because Clay clearly said, I want to continue with UAD and I want to fight for this, and I think he will. I don't think he'll fight until he gets her back. I think he'll fight for a while, and if it works, then great. And at some point, he'll give up. So we'll see next week with the reunion. We should. I was thinking, do you think we should do a live reaction to the reunion?
That could be fun.
I we need to think about how we can do that. But anyway, so
we can do an Instagram live.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We can record it as
watch it together.
Yeah, we'll see what.
Yeah,
see how that works.
Yeah, we could record. That's a good idea to record it simultaneously. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Anyway.
Anyway,
but yeah, I think we can do that. So, because Jimmy, when he says "I do love you," for me, saying "I love you" is so important. It's such an important thing, saying "I love you," that I kind of don't like the fact that people can say it easily without meaning it, but some people do. And so I don't know that Jimmy does love Chelsea. I want to believe that he does, but I agree. I would agree with you, because that's like we never heard him say, "I want to continue dating you." It's just, "I'm not ready for marriage."
Yeah. No, I don't think he wants to continue dating her. No, he even said at one point, and it was like, I think this was his way of jabbing back at her. But he even said, "Yeah, way to go to convince me even more that I'm making the right decision," or something like that. Yeah. And then I wrote down also, I think this again, I said this like with Jessica's response to his breakup, and I'm saying this again, response makes them glad they broke up with you. I think she just, if she would have taken it gracefully and been calmer and not shoved everything in his face, and I'm not saying pretend to be happy that he's breaking up with you, I'm saying don't freak out on him, because he's just gonna be glad he's breaking up with you even more. And it lasts, like, if she would have accepted his feelings and understood what he was, because I don't know if he went into it thinking that they have to break up after this. I think he just wasn't ready to get married yet, and he was like bringing up his own feelings and what he's going through, and then she just freaked out on him and was like, yeah, no, I can't do this anymore, because she just made it abundantly clear that yes, he has issues, but every single time he tries to talk to her, she turns it around on him, and she tries to manipulate the situation. And so I think that just, like, that's it, that just ended the whole anyway,
so that happened. And then sadly, I don't know about sadly, but the best couple, Johnny and Amy, they are the best, because they got through to the wedding day, and they got married, and they seem sincere, and
there's that couple every season almost.
There is, there's one couple every season. Good. And sadly, haven't got much to say, because they didn't get a lot of screen time, because they are so healthy in their communication and drama free and things like that. I mean,
it was a breath of fresh air, kind of, to watch it a bit, and then, like,
exactly,
everything's good in the world.
Exactly. It's I think they should have started with Johnny and Amy's wedding.
They should have. I know. I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't as well. But I guess they wanted to end on a positive note. But because you've got from each season different couples that are strong, and Amber and Barnett, like, they were touch and go, and they are a bit dramatic, and she's a bit much. But they're making it work. We follow them on social media, like whether it's our own Instagram pages or the Pop Culture Cupid Instagram page. They're making it work and things like that. But it's at some point it does feel like touch and go. However, Johnny and Amy, I would be shocked if they ever got divorced.
Yeah, no, they seem to be because they also have good communication. They don't make everything more dramatic than it has to be. They talk about things calmly, even the whole birth control thing. Like they didn't make such a big deal out of it. And I think that's such a good example to take from them on how to create a healthy relationship where you just, you know, everything's chill. Everything's just good, healthy, happy vibes. You know, very peaceful, very tranquil. No need to go over the top or whatever. And just, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
So, I mean, that was season 6 of Love is Blind.
Yeah, let us know what you thought. Was it better? Was it worse? Did your predictions come true? And are you bummed out about anything? Are you happy about anything? What are your feelings? Let us know.
I've got a prediction.
What is it?
Chelsea is going to run to Trent.
Trevor?
Trent.
You know, I had a rumor that he had, I don't know, there's this rumor going around that he had a girlfriend or a fiance when he came on the show, and suddenly people like, I don't know, we have to look into that, but
anyway,
but yeah, she's gonna run back to him, of course.
Yeah. Okay, and so we'll see.
Yeah, Jimmy may run back to Jessica, but I don't think she wants him anymore.
No, I don't think so either.
No. Anyway,
Jessica is not the second choice type of girl. I think there's a lot to say about being the second choice, but I think Jessica, as a principal, she wouldn't accept it.
Like she's an A girl. Like you either pick me or you go to hell.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let us know what you guys think and thought, and we need to figure out what we'll do for the reunion. But yeah, maybe do a live episode next week.
We should do a live episode and then somehow record it, and
we'll see. I think we need several devices, but I think we've both got several devices.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work. Okay.
Anyway.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.